Hello everyone, welcome to Jets Central here on Jets TV. Please comment, rate, subscribe guys, comment, rate, subscribe, and like the videos. This is going to be my Week 10 picks recap, so let's go ahead and get into it. First game I want to recap is Atlanta at New Orleans. I took New Orleans in this game. That got me a win. New Orleans beat Atlanta 27-31. It pretty much happened just like I said. I thought the fact that when New Orleans got up and the fact that they're so deadly and they can score so fast, it would take Atlanta really out of what they like to do offensively, and that's exactly what happened. Atlanta was up early. I think it was like 10-0, and then New Orleans was able to score and get into the game. Finally, it was just early in the first quarter, and then once they got in and they kept scoring, Atlanta had to react. They had to continuously keep scoring with New Orleans, and they just couldn't do it. Basically, when you play Atlanta, if you take the ball out of those running backs' hands, out of Turner's hands, and you kind of make the run game kneel, make the run game just a thing in the past with them, Atlanta struggles. Drew Brees had a real big day against Atlanta as well. 298 yards throwing the ball. He had 3 TDs. Graham had a huge day as well. He had 7 catches for 146 yards. He had 2 TDs. Moore had 91 yards as well. I mean, guys were just able to get the job done there for New Orleans. So hats off to them. They got themselves a win. That got me a win as well. And, Atlanta just is 8-1 now, so no big deal for them. Next game I want to talk about, Denver at Carolina. I took Denver in this game. That got me a win as well. They beat Carolina 36-14. I mean, at the end of the day, you can say whatever you want to say. Cam Newton had a decent day, 21-36. He had 241 yards throwing the ball. He had 2 TDs, but he also had 2 bad interceptions. Peyton Manning, typical Peyton Manning, 27-38, 300 yards throwing the ball. He had a TD as well. Demaryius Thomas had 9 catches for 135 yards. Denver just did exactly what I said they would do. They just absolutely took advantage of Carolina's defense. Carolina defense could not stop anything that Peyton Manning was doing, and Denver's defense was all over Cam Newton. And again, he throws bad interceptions. He threw 2 bad ones in this game, 2 really bad ones. So hats off to Denver. They got a win, and that got me a win as well. Next game I want to talk about, Dallas at Philadelphia. I took Dallas in this game. That got me a win. This was, they beat Philadelphia 38-23. This game was kind of tough to call for me. Was kind of thinking about what would happen. Michael Vick, he'd have a chance to make the ball, move the ball. Well, they knocked Michael Vick out pretty early. He got a concussion. That brought in Nick Foles. Nick Foles looked decent until he started throwing interceptions, and that was pretty much the thing that turned the tide. Tony Romo was 19-26. He had 209 throwing the ball. He had 2 TDs. Felix Jones had 71 yards on the ground. Dez Bryant, 81 yards throwing the ball. I mean, this game wasn't like super exciting to watch. It wasn't something that was just like, oh, these teams are these are both, Super Bowl contending teams. Not right then when I was watching. I definitely didn't think that. But when Michael Vick got knocked out, it kind of just turned into like, okay, well, Philly's pretty much going to lay down. And that's pretty much what happened. Once again, they're still not giving the ball to McCoy. He only had 16 carries at 82 yards. Jeremy Maclin finally got off the milk carton. He had 8 catches for 93 yards. But outside of that, I mean, nothing to be said. Once Michael Vick went out, the offense was done. So hats off to Dallas. They got themselves a win. That got me a win as well. Next game I want to talk about, Houston at Chicago. Now, this game was exciting to watch. It was a low-scoring game. Houston beat Chicago 13-6. I took Chicago in this game. That got me a loss. But you know what? Houston really showed a lot of heart in this game. They came out and they played a game I've never seen them play. They played dirty. They played physical. They played almost more physical than the Chicago Bears. Chicago, again, had problems scoring. They had problems, holding on to the ball. Jay Cutler, 7-14, 40 yards, 2 interceptions. He ends up getting hurt, and he goes out the game. They have to bring in Jason Campbell. Then the offense continued to struggle. Brandon Marshall had 8 catches for 107 yards, and that was pretty much it out of it. There was almost no offense whatsoever from Chicago. Matt Schaub was able to really get the job done. 14-26, 95 yards throwing the ball. He had 1 TD. He had 2 interceptions as well. It was nothing great about this game offensively. It was basically Houston playing, bend but don't break defense, and just doing just enough on offense to hold the ball and just hold Chicago off. but it was such a physical game to watch. That's what made the game great. Was both teams were playing physical. It wasn't much scoring, wasn't much of anything going off. It was muddy, it was raining, but they just did just enough. Houston did just enough to hold Chicago back. So hats off to Houston. They got the job done. I took Chicago. That got me a loss. Next game, Jets. New York Jets and Seattle Seahawks. I took the Seattle Seahawks in this game. That got me a win. They beat the Jets 7-28. You know what? The Jets just play horribly. Bottom line. I mean, I can go down the actual stat sheet. The first TD that was scored by Seattle was by Golden Tate. It was a TD on Kyle Wilson. He was standing right there when it happened. Golden Tate just made a play on the ball. Kyle Wilson couldn't make a play. The only score we had was on defense. Muhammad Wilkerson ran back a fumble for a TD. That was it. Our offense was trash throughout the entire game. Mark comes out. He throws another red zone interception on pretty much a perfectly called play by Tony Sperano. He had Stephen Hill wide open at the goalpost and missed him. Kept pumping the ball. Then he throws the ball late across the field, gets it picked off. I mean, things just not working out. Our special teams is horrible. Jeremy Curley, a fumble on a punt return. There's tons of penalties by Landry. I mean, things just not going well for the Jets right now in any phase of the game whatsoever. We really need to come together and really right this ship. Then you got the media, things in the media going on about Tim Tebow. You know, we got teammates making more blind statements about Tim Tebow. He's terrible, and you know, we don't want him on the team, and this and that. Like, I'm just tired of the Jets in this circus. So until we get it together, we're gonna have more losses. Bottom line. And Mike Tannenbaum and Rex's job is definitely on the line. Woody Johnson should definitely look at getting rid of those guys. If you can't control the locker room, Rex Ryan, then there's no business. You have no business being our head coach. And Mike Tannenbaum, if you can't find talent, if you can't get us a solid right tackle, knowing going into the year that we don't have a solid right tackle, then you don't have any business being our general manager. End of story. You know, again, guys, comment, hit me back. Let me know what you guys think. Thank you guys for watching, and peace. Be on the lookout for my Week 11 picks video.